Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Ewan Graff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
On episode 202, award shows and AI in the news. The real question is, this week, do we have any good news, Ewan? Or is it just more news to make me hate this damn industry?
Well, there's always something great happening with new films premiering at fall film festivals, and we got the lineups for Zurich and the Gent Film Festival that Kevin and I will be covering. We got trailers for Blitz, Mickey 17, and I got some thoughts on Transformers 1, the first half of Agatha All Along, and The Penguin, as well as Wolves, Rebel Ridge, and The Wild Robot. But to bring it back to AI, I also watched the pretty horrible movie Afraid.
Finally, the substance has made its way out down under, and I was finally able to catch it. Ewan saw it a few months ago at Cannes, and now we can finally chat about it in this episode. So stick around for the end, because that's our main topic.
Let's open this can of worms, which I guess I shouldn't call the Red Bull a can of worms, but let's cue it up and get into the show. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right. Lachlan, welcome back. It's a big week when it comes to news. So
Yeah,
much
man.
to talk about.
Huge. Emmys?
We talked about the Emmys, the technical awards that were given out like a week and a half prior, and we saw the continuation of Shogun sweeping the Emmys, having basically a huge year. I forget what the ultimate like total of awards was. Put it on screen right here, but it won for drama, directing, sound mixing, editing, picture editing, cinematography, period costumes, main title design, production design, prosthetic makeup, stunt performance, casting for a drama, special effects, period, fantasy makeup and hairstyling, lead actress for Anna Sawai. I'm really happy about that. She was great. And then, the producer and star of the show, Hiroyuki Sanada, ended up getting the lead role. And then also, there was a guest actor award for Nestor Carbonell in there as well. I think they also won a behind the scenes, like the making of, also won an Emmy. It's crazy. FX ended up running away with the total of 36 awards. That's 12 ahead in front of Netflix. And I think it's the first time in a couple of years where neither Netflix or HBO ended up having the most amount of awards by the end of the evening. The Bear, somehow also still in comedy, ended up getting a bunch of awards there, breaking its own record from last year. By the way, for season 2, not for season 3, that's still coming. But it didn't end up winning the big prize of best comedy. That ended up going to Hacks, which I can also very much recommend. Really good show. And Baby Reindeer also won a bunch. Other than that, I think there's been some solid shows. And again, the jumbled mess that is like where to put what series, because I feel like dramas were initially, not just for their tone, maybe, because you can tone the line of like a dramedy, right? You can be both. You can have both, like Succession is the perfect thing for that. But the more esteemed things of like these 1 hour shows usually end up going into drama, and then the half-hour shows go into comedy. But The Bear has been getting longer and longer each season with the episodes. So I feel like not everyone is super happy that like The Bear keeps taking away all the awards in the comedy section. But yeah, we talked about this last week, right? You still haven't started Shogun. I mean, season 2 and 3 is already greenlit, and there's lots to enjoy. I think it is the best show of the year. It really is that great. Although I really like the third season of The Bear as well, and Baby Reindeer isn't too shabby either. But yeah, anything else that like I don't think like there wasn't a lot of love spread around. You got like basically like 3 shows that won most of the, or 4 shows that won most of the awards, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's what it's gonna be.
Fallout
If you have, if you have a show like Shogun that it's clear like it's a sweep, you just kind of feel bad for everyone else at that time.
Yeah.
It's just like, why even be bothered to be nominated? And I feel like that's what you kind of feel at any award show when you have a massive success, both commercial and critically. Like, great example last year would have been Oppenheimer at the Oscars. Like, if you go into that going, yep, I'm up against Cillian Murphy in lead actor. I don't think I have a possibility of winning that one. So it just comes down to, and to kind of put it into back to the category thing of, does The Bear really deserve to be in a comedy? But shouldn't maybe the Emmys just separate it a little bit more? Like, try to, like, either combine or separate it a bit further? You can't really have more Emmys. Like, they're
There's
already
so
split
many
the
Emmys.
Emmys
There's so
up
many.
into things
Yeah.
like 2 weeks before the Emmys and then the actual night itself. But do they separate more into more categories, or do they kind of combine it? Because I get it, having comedy and drama
yeah.
be two separate things. It's a really fine line because comedy finds its way into dramas. I mean, that's just life, right? Life is
Yeah.
just one big comedy. And the thing is, comedies are going to make dramatic things happen because that is how narratives take place. So it's a fine line that they're treading, and I think that they should just kind of either A, combine it, or B, split it up to be even finer. Like,
I mean,
let's
what
have,
they could do is
let's
like
have
by
comedy,
the runtime.
let's have drama, and let's have cooking.
Cooking. Okay, what type of cooking shows were just for the Bear, so they can keep
Just for
getting
the Bear,
awards?
just so the Bear can be. And we could also do. I mean, this year we probably should have done like a separate TV show set in feudal Japan nominated category, and just let them have all those wins.
TV show set in Japan.
Yeah, or let's do like comedy and drama and leave it as is, but let's just put like a participation award category for being like, hey,
Right.
look, you're up against the Bear, you're up against Shogun. How about we just give you this little participation trophy to someone that deserves it?
I mean, Shogun wasn't limited series until like pretty recently. I mean, when I got the screeners for it early this year, I didn't know that there was more than episode 8, and then 2 more episodes came out, and I was like, oh, okay. There's like, you know, a full run of a show that has concluded, and it was a limited series, and then they changed it because they greenlit season 2 and 3 now, but they've already were in talks about like doing season 2 pretty early on after it had so much success. Baby Reindeer against Shogun, that might have been like a bigger battle there if they were going up for some of those. Although Shogun probably would have still won because it's the better show between the two, but Baby Reindeer is very likely the more popular show between the two. But yeah, what you can see that is like it's basically FX with this show, but then Netflix and HBO and a little bit of Apple TV Plus. They are seemingly still getting in those awards and nominations for the morning show, which is just like basically a cameo fest. I think one of the supporting performances, I'm blanking on his name right now, actually won for that as well. Which, like, I would have loved for Shogun to even sweep more. Some of the supporting performances in Shogun are incredible. And yeah, I can't wait for season 2 and 3 to happen. Likely going to get that in 2026, I assume, because they don't start shooting season 2 until 2025.
Also, some other like little shout outs. It's unfortunate because I think True Detective Night Country ended up being a pretty
Jodie
unfortunately written season. But I actually think Jodie Foster is quite deserving in that win. Because I actually thought she and a lot of the performances were the best part of that series. And
yeah, it was just
if
repetitive.
it actually had,
that was the issue.
Yeah. If it had a better narrative, I feel like you definitely could have seen it up, winning a little bit more in terms of not just like awards, but also just, you know, fans enjoying it. Other than that, I mean, Jeremy Allen White for the Bear, that was a good one that I saw.
Repeat, yeah.
Other than that, I mean, the only other thing that I saw from the Emmys was John Oliver's speech with about his dog dying and the music.
Feel
playing.
like Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. But yeah, no, I think sweep for this, and it's going to be the case if we keep making shit TV shows. You're going to have someone who's going to make, especially because, you know, we put the likes of Disney up there as being one of the big companies, but you know,
yeah, they rarely have anything going for them. I mean, they for Hulu and Disney, they each won 7 awards. I don't know what they won it for. I doubt it was for anything. I can't think at the top of my head what they would have won for. I know they had that Brie Larson show, I think, Lessons of Chemistry. I don't know if that won anything, but yeah, nothing big for Disney this year. And yeah, the shows just aren't that great comparatively. Then TIFF has ended. Actually, a while now since TIFF has ended, and they announced the winners. If you don't know, TIFF has an audience award. It doesn't really have a jury that decides the Golden Lion, the Silver Bear, the Golden Lion, and the Palm d'Or. Lots of ore to go around. Minecraft people would love to craft those awards now. That's a bad joke. TIFF is basically like a popularity contest, right? How many screenings can you get in, and then the average between those, like how much of actual like excitement is behind those films. And then to a surprise to I think a bunch of people, The Life of Chuck ended up taking home the audience award at TIFF. That's the adaptation of a Stephen King I think short story and brought to screen by Mike Flanagan, and it's this 3-part movie that basically ends at it starts at the end of the life and then goes back in 3 chapters. There's apparently like a really big dancing scene in the second part of the movie, and it's an audience hit. I think a lot of like the critics heading to the festival like ultimately finding it a bit cheesy. Yeah, maybe it will resonate with audiences, and I think it's been like this many years since the TIFF audience winner hasn't been nominated for an Oscar, so all of the for Best Pictures, all of the like Oscar experts out there, shout out Colin, Justin, like grasping at straws to like what this actually means now. Emilia Perez got actually selected by Francis this official submission to the Oscars, and ended up taking home the second prize, and then Enora ended up getting the third one, and that's also the first one since Parasite that ended up winning the main prize in Gun, and then ended up getting third prize. Like Parasite had the exact same thing, and a lot of people are like, the lines are aligning, maybe Enora is going to win Best Picture now. But people were expecting Saturday Night to take home one of these awards. It didn't. And then the Midnight Award went to The Substance, which we'll be talking about in spoiler detail later on. But I mean, I haven't seen Saturday Night. I haven't seen The Life of Chuck. The others I can speak on. Like Enora is one of the best films of the year, followed up by The Substance, 2 great picks. Emilia Perez I did not connect with in the slightest. I think it was pretty bad. Lachlan, you're Mike Flanagan fan. This is definitely like a different style for him and Stephen King, right? It's not horror adjacent at all. Are you looking forward to The Life of Chuck? Or like, obviously you're looking forward to Enora, right? It's got to be right up there on your most anticipated.
Well, because you keep talking it up like it's the greatest movie of all time.
It's really fun.
Look, I'm a Mike Flanagan fan when it comes to his miniseries. Not so much a fond of his
Dr. Sleep.
Larger stuff. And honestly, that's okay. You can always have a hit and you can have a miss. But you know what? Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill. There are some big names in this movie or series, whatever the fuck it's ended up going to be. I quite like it. Movie? Okay, cool. I don't mind. And also it story told in reverse, so it's just Benjamin buttoning it. Okay, that's fine. Look, I'll watch it.
Really,
it's most likely.
It's not like he H's backwards.
Yeah, well,
is that what you describe every story that doesn't move chronologically? Yeah, it's basically just Benjamin Button.
It's just Benjamin Button. Yeah.
I don't know. Brad Pitt is on.
So it's just Memento. Are you just telling me it's Memento?
It's Memento, yes.
It's just Memento.
No, that's nothing to do with
Tenet.
time. As soon as you see someone with tattoos, it's like, oh, that's Memento, right?
Yeah, it's Mementoing it.
Yep.
So it's time. So it's Tenet. There we go. We can do that.
Yep.
Be happy with that. That's the best you're gonna get. Yeah. I mean, I didn't actually have A Life of Chuck on my watch list. Didn't realize it was a thing until just now. So yeah. I'm in, I guess. The initial reaction is I'm in.
Oh, he's in. So getting Oscar nominated, guys. All right, yeah, that's the TIFF winners. Then we got the lineup for the Zurich Film Festival and the Gent Film Festival happening at the beginning until the middle of October. We'll be covering both those festivals, and we'll have like the lineups link below. I made a list, and then Gent has its own HQ account. Maybe the Zurich Film Festival could, take from that and maybe make that too. I feel like that would be pretty sick. But they have the 20th edition in Zurich, and some of the titles that I have not seen yet, and I'm very much looking forward to A Real Pain, Blitz, Conclave, Heretic, The Last Showgirl, We Live in Time, Memoir of a Snail, The End, and The Remarkable Life of Evelyn. And then Kevin also posted a watch list of stuff that He's going to have a look at his, I think, includes over, what is it, like, I think he has more than he is actually going to watch. He already told me that he's going to see The Substance twice, the mad lad. But he has like 80 films on his watch list. I think he's going to cover about like 45 to 50 of them. So once again, you know, we'll be watching a bunch. But the uniques that aren't playing in Zurich that he'll be covering is small things like these, which we have a trailer for that we'll talk about in a second. Steven Soderbergh's Presence, The Outrun, Sex, which was a film that is connected in a trilogy of a film that we just watched in Venice called Love, that we both really adored. So looking forward to that one. And then also Sebastian Stan's A Different Man is surprisingly not playing in Zurich, but it's playing in Ghent. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. We'll be having more festival coverage, and if you missed it, we did a very extensive Venice recap that you should get the solo reviews for some of that stuff clipped on our channel soon as well. But yeah, have a look out for that. By the way, we reviewed Joker Folie à Deux early before we get to that in I think 2 or 3 weeks time. That's that. Sorry to make you feel left out once again, Lachlan, but hopefully 2025 will be more fruitful to actually get you to a festival as well, even if it's just like something like Sydney that happens.
Don't pretend
shortly
Sydney's
after.
Not a prestigious
cool.
festival.
It's cool. It's very
there
cool.
Is plenty
it gets a lot of gun
things.
stuff. It's like the
There's a
earliest
lot
one
of
that
stuff.
gets gun stuff. So that's so that's cool. So we might send you there
Express ship
if we can make that
from
work.
France.
Yep, drop shipped. It's like the Temu version of gun.
Drop-shipped.
Then, you know, talking about the aforementioned teased AI, Lionsgate has had a year, you could say, and they have signed a deal with the AI firm Runway that will train generative AI on Lionsgate content. So they hold the rights to that, right? That's not that issue of like, hey, are you taking something that doesn't belong to you to train your AI model on? And it's supposed to help creatives who I guess are lacking creatively at the studios to augment their work, it says, on future film and TV projects. And Lachlan, by your groan, I can safely say that this is not something that you are a fan of, right?
I can already tell it's a lie. What
do you mean by the training?
To help creatives.
Oh, it's not for the creatives, it's for the producers, right?
Oh,
it's not
of
for
course.
the creatives.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look, I have a weird middle ground stance on AI. I wholeheartedly believe that we're unfortunately in such a position that it's so early, we don't really have actual reason to use it. So what it's doing is it's doing things that people will struggle to do. And people are always kind of like, oh, especially if you're a creative, a lot of people will reach out to you to be like, hey, can you quickly whip up this? Can you whip up that?
Yeah.
And it's why AI has such a big focus in the creative space right now. And I hate it because it shouldn't be coming after creative jobs. It should be going after tedious jobs that kind of need more than just a human eye to notice things.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a recent article about certain documents going through AI to kind of approve or decline some. I can't remember if it was like insurance claims or whatever. And it's like, look, if that's going to make my claim go from a 4-day process to a 4-hour process, sure. And if it's always going to be checked over, sure. But to be focusing on creative shit is just so dumb, especially because AI can benefit a creative user on many grounds. And personally, I actually think a lot of the sort of the, not the generative AI, but the like the word-based AI, all of the like Grammarly-based stuff. And I think that that's a great example of AI at work, kind of helping you do stuff. And if you could kind of like be writing and then you kind of get to a slump and then you could just like / generate me a prompt to follow up this scene, and it kind of lists a few prompts of where you could go with the narrative and you build from there. There are tools. The thing is, it should be a tool that we use, not a replacement of somebody. And I think that's where this is. I don't feel good about this because training it on generative AI models, what kind of are we talking? Is it going to be making things? Are we talking about, is it going to be, you know, taking
Adobe already has that, right? With the extension that they're bringing to you got a clip and you shoot and then
Don't-
you extend it
Let's
by
not even
AI.
get that. That's a big can of worms. You just said Adobe.
That is, but that is
oh,
generative.
man.
Adobe has been pretty, like, I feel like they've been getting so many NVIDIA like GPUs that by that I feel like the actual users are paying up for that because they invest like seemingly billions into getting those because they're so expensive. And the price.
I don't want them training their AI on my work.
Oh yeah, and you signed that user agreement, right? That was a thing like 2 months ago, yeah.
And like I use their stuff because I love the ecosystem
unfortunately the best
of Adobe. It's
to me,
to
me it is.
Well,
maybe I'm
it's
too
not the best.
used to it.
But we've got a workflow that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When they all talk to each other because they're a suite of services, right? We record an edition, it goes into Premiere Pro. We can go and do that edit in background edition if we wanted to for audio. We can output it to Photoshop if we want to do a Photoshop file, and we can edit that Photoshop live to go back into that Premiere Pro timeline and After Effects. Like, we've got a flow that works really well, and I really like that. But
I mean, it's the Apple thing, right? Of creating a space
same
that
thing,
is
like
that you can't escape anymore once you're in it because
But I mean, everyone does it. Like Samsung does it, and Google does it, and
Apple does it the most outrageously. Like aren't like Apple Watches, they can only connect to Apple phone and like stuff like that. They have
Samsung watches the same thing.
I don't know, but I'm a Samsung user. So
Samsung watches can't connect to an iPhone.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. To me, that's always like, it's probably Apple's fault. It's probably Apple's fault.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, it's a funny thing because Adobe trying to make this AI stuff, which don't get me wrong, some of it is kind of useful. With some of the removing tools, and you can see that with some of the models that like Apple and Google are coming out with, where you can like do quick photoshops on your phone. And I think that is quite handy. If I can do a quick Photoshop edit on here and then, output it to my computer, that would be sweet. But I just find that they're doing things like a generative AI model so that you could punch in some text to create your storyboards, and now we have storyboard artists out of work. And I feel like that's dumb because you lose that personal touch and it becomes all of the same. We don't have someone coming up with new ideas. It's based on, and to be fair, so are our creative ideas are based on other creative works we have seen, but we're also actively going out of our way to create something new and different and adapt something new and different. Yeah, and AI is just like, okay, I've seen all of this. A lot of them do it on the left-hand side, so let's put it on the left-hand side. Let's have yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I'm sick of AI. So
I think it's a slippery slope of what you just mentioned with storyboards. I mean, understandably, with storyboards, for example, here, because what ends up happening, I think, is like that you can generate something and you base your creative like next idea off of that, other than imagining it, putting that to screen and working from it. So like it ultimately ends up reducing the input because it always is established or like based off of something else. So even though everything else is a reference, it is still contextualized and then created by you. And the other thing is always by nature of how AI works, accumulation of what has come before. And that is like, once you have that and you just go down that slippery slope, it just like always becomes more generic. That's the only way it can go. It can't be more imaginative. But Lionsgate has been in the news for good stuff. They have The Crow, that flopped crazy. They had Imaginary out this year, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. They had the Borderlands flop. The last movie of this that did kind of decent was the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But that was mainly like last year as well when it came out. But that made like 350 million. Their latest film, the latest gross of this year, I think the highest that they've made was 35 million total. So like, the biggest hit was The Stranger Chapter 2 that gets a sequel next year. That movie was horrible though, so I feel like the
is a domestic
ongoing
though,
thing.
right?
Domestic, domestic. Worldwide, I think that movie probably made a bit more if you bring it all together. But for a lot of it, Lionsgate sells off the rights. For example, in Switzerland, there's a distributor that I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll just openly say it. I know I'm working with them, but hey, if you see this, you're not doing a good job. I'm sorry. And they pick up a lot of the Lionsgate stuff that has also been flopping over the last couple of months. And so, Lionsgate is not distributing their stuff worldwide, so I'm just taking the domestic gross here. But they have a bunch of upcoming titles. 1992 just came out on VOD. The Killer's Game, I think, is coming to theaters next week. Never Let Go is coming out this week. The week after, we also got Megalopolis. They got a lot of stuff on the horizon, but the pre-sales from Megalopolis, I think, like a box office analyst, there was a quote on it that I saw on X that was basically, this has been the worst pre-sale of something that I've ever seen. Apparently, like from the 30,000 or 34,000 seats, only 0.02% of the seats were already booked, or something like that. But hey, maybe that will sell out fast once it actually comes around. But we'll be talking about that film maybe even as soon as next week if Lachlan gets to see it and he can sit through it. But yeah. That's all the AI stuff.
It's only 2 hours. It's not even. It's shorter than the
Megalopolis.
Substance, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's long. Maybe it just felt long.
To 1:38. I'm pretty sure it's like a few minutes shorter than the Substance.
Yeah, it's 2 hours 20. Yeah, it's shorter than the Substance. It does feel longer though.
Every time I log into Letterboxd and see Megalopolis, there is always 2 new reviews, and it's always 1 star, 5 stars every time. Like someone else I follow has seen it, and it's actually just like oh my god. Sorry, you continue on with the podcast while I just catch up on Megalopolis.
On the Megalopolis reviews. Yeah, I don't know if you're too interested in everything that Netflix Geeked had to announce. Basically, what this felt like, it was a 2 hour, 2 hour 40 show that was hosted by John Manganiello, very charismatically, but also like very enthusiastically. And it basically was really focusing on the fan involvement of it. They kept like playing games, and they wanted to I don't know if they wanted to try something different. I don't know what they did last year. I feel like last year they did more of just like straight up videos, and it wasn't like a stage show and everything. But they were focusing so much on the fan involvement, creating these fandoms, and behind the scenes looks. Like, for example, Umbrella Academy has ended with the 4th season, but they still had a slot for it just to have the whole cast there and say like, basically remind them, hey, the show is there and it's not really doing well. Can you go watch that, please? And we're like, hey, here's all the BTS moments of us being goofy and like, hee. And that was basically the whole vibe of this. It was very odd. I had to skip through a whole bunch of it. But to give you the TLDR, Avatar, the season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender is in production. There was a Tom Clancy Splinter Cell Deadwatch animated series with Liv Schreiber as Sam Fisher in there. I don't know if you played Splinter Cell. I know you play some of the Tom Clancy games. Are you going to watch this animated series? Like, did that catch your interest?
I actually haven't seen any of this. What's it called?
Not much.
Netflix Nerd Week.
Geeked Week.
Of course,
Week is
that's
also
way
good.
better. I don't know. Maybe. I'd be keen to see it.
But they seem to be definitely on the forefront of adapting all of these video games into animated series, because there's a bunch of them. There's also a Devil May Cry animated series, a new animated Cyberpunk series is also in the works. What else is there? There's a Magic the Gathering series that they're doing. Later this year on October 10th, we get Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. That's another animated show. And then we get the 3 acts of Arcane. That's obviously based on League of Legends. The 2nd and final season premieres with Act 1 through 3 on November 9th, 16th, and concludes on the 23rd. But we also got a look at the 2nd season of The Sandman. We covered that last year, and it was also like, I feel no one talked about it, but I feel like it still was watched by a lot of people, but maybe not by the most vocal fan group. But I'm excited to see where that story continues. And then there was something called Sakamoto Days that got announced
because he got cancelled.
Who got cancelled? The lead?
Neil Gaiman.
Oh, well, yeah, but that was recent. Wasn't that like a month ago?
Oh, no, that was Good Omens. Never mind, sorry. I think Good Omens is
good.
Paused.
But Good Omens is still moving forward with the 3rd season, but he stepped away from it, is what
cool.
I think that's the latest that I saw of it. But yeah, there was also a trailer for the Platform 2 out on October 4th. There's a Netflix and chill section that they made. They're very clever there. For 2 horror films that are coming out. Don't Move, which is about like a woman who gets paralyzed, basically slowly paralyzed in the woods and has to escape someone who's chasing after her in a way. Look kind of trippy. And then It's What's Inside. I played at Sundance and South by Southwest with great success. I've been told to stay away from the trailer, so I haven't had a look at it because apparently I think it spoils a bunch of it. I'm very much looking forward to that one. And then there was some One Piece news. They're currently filming the second season, and John Manganiello is about to head on to set in South Africa to play Mr. Zero. And I'm not familiar. Like, is that exciting? Is that a good casting, Lachlan, as someone who's seen One Piece?
I have seen One Piece like a billion years ago. What's his name? Mr. Zero.
Mr. Zero, yeah. Apparently, he's a legendary character, is what they were really hyping up in Netflix Geeked Week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can see it.
All right, we got the Lachlan approved.
I watched One Piece when I was like 8, 9, and that was over 12 years ago.
No, Lachlan's 12 now. Look, I'm excited about this. Like, I had a frequent times where I'm like, okay, when do I have maybe like a month where I can basically have a look through the shortened version? That's what is it called?
You're not gonna watch One Piece, are you?
No, and they're also remaking it, but I feel like I'll be a fake fan if I just watch the remake. That feels like a shortcut.
Dude,
but then also it has pacing issues.
One Piece in 1 month.
No, not in 1 month. I said like 1 month to like dedicated time to start it, not to binge it all. I think that's crazy.
Oh fuck.
But
okay,
what I've frequently found myself is like that. Well, I never have the time for it, and I hate breaking apart shows like by large chunks. Other than there's like an ending to it, right? A season, and then you can say, or like an arc that ends. But we'll have to wait and see. I think I'm quite intrigued, but I wouldn't watch the base show. I would do the One Piece, right, that cuts out a lot of the filler stuff, just to save myself from, remaining a bit of sanity in this crazy world. Trailers for Wednesday season 2, but it wasn't really a trailer. It was just like, hey, it exists. And then the actual trailer for Squid Game season 2, that's out December 26th, was announced, and our main guy is back in the game as number 456. And there were like guards on mainland. There was a guard that was dressed in black, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's dressed in black, guys, crazy Squid Game." Yeah, are you gonna watch Squid Game, or do you think it will be as popular as season 1, or will it like fall off a bit?
I feel like it could be as popular as season 1, if not more popular. But I also feel like it's Netflix, so they could flop it and it'd be bad.
Yeah, they didn't talk at all about Stranger Things. I think they still, like, it's Geeked Week, and maybe this was just the first day of like having all the announcements. Again, we are recording this on Friday, and Geeked Week implies that there's more than one day. So yeah, there's probably a bunch of news that comes out by the time this episode goes live that we are not covering. But the last bit of news from Geeked Week that I want to talk about is the 7th season of Black Mirror. That got a bit of a tease over on X, and I found it interesting. Like, there was like implied lines with the cast, and then lines in between that said like, "Too soon, a rose, Shields 58%. My lawyers will fuck you into a barbed wire coffin," like other stuff like that. It's like, okay, and they just like leave it at that. Apparently, 2 of the episodes are like feature length. It will feature the first sequel to the USS Callister series, with Kristen Milotti returning as well. What the showrunner said as well is that it's all going to be sci-fi again, back to basics, when maybe the last series didn't really feel like that sci-fi. Like, they strayed away a bit from what Black Mirror made Black Mirror, and they say they go a bit more back to like the OG feel of it. But we'll have to wait and see if that's actually the case. It's going to be 6 episodes, and Lachlan, looking at the cast that I listed here, just not even all of them, just like some of them, yeah, it does sound exciting, right? They have a quite big cast here for all of these films.
Yeah. So by the way, I never finished season 6, so I kind of lost interest in it. I will. It totally just depends, because I think Black Mirror is one of those one of those shows that has the opportunity to just do a lot, and that excites me because I can always, drop it off and pick it up whenever I want if I don't feel like watching a particular couple episodes. I can skip
Yeah.
the ones that I just don't vibe with. And to hear that they're probably going to make them a bit longer, which is nice, and make them more short films than actual like TV shows, whatever you want to call it, like miniseries TV shows, kind of excites me because they can explore so many ideas. But what they really should do is have some fun stuff, but they should really explore current issues. And I think that
They really wanted to get away from that, right? They were like, oh,
Yeah.
COVID's too hard on people. We can't make those stories. And it's like, bitch, there's wars going on. We can handle it. And if you can't, then don't watch it.
nothing annoyed me more when they went away from tech, especially because it was all very.
Last season was
there are
bad with that.
Yeah. They just need to focus on technology that we currently have. And you can have like futuristic episodes, and there are futuristic episodes that are just like fantastic. What is it, San Juno? It is a fantastic episode where it's like you don't have that technology here currently, but it is something that we could possibly think about. But having things set in space and all that jazz, the simpler the better, the more fucked up the better.
I think what's the most exciting about it is like having the technology and setting the series right on the verge of it getting bigger. Because if you establish a sci-fi world where something has already existed for so long, it can sometimes feel a bit empty to fill out that world. If you connect it closer to our own world and I basically have a transition point, that can be very exciting because it brings up all of the moral points. But then I also think about like the show where they had the what is it, like I think it was in season 1, it wasn't the entire history of you. It was the one where Be Right Back, the opener for season 2, the one where wife loses her husband and then her gets replaced by a robot that is basically a collection of all of his memories. And I think that stuff like is super intriguing. And that was like further into like that already existed. But no, it was also like they got something new. I think it needs to be something like that adds to it. And the last season really had like one of them was set in an alternative 1969. And then they had a bunch of like Demon 79, also like a period piece that had nothing to do, that was basically not about tech, but about like a demon. And I was like, what about this is like at all Black Mirror? Because it's supposed to be, the Black Mirror staring back at you. That's your reflection. That's what it's supposed to be about. But yeah, it hasn't really been for like at least like 2 series. But yeah, Issa Rae, Aquafina, Emma Corrin, Kristen Milotti, Paul Giamatti, Peter Capaldi, Chris O'Dowd, Rashida Jones, Billy Magnuson, Tracy Ellis Ross, Jimmy Simpson, among others. Could be very fun with the cast that they got here, minus Aquafina. I hope that she has a good role upcoming because she hasn't had one in years. Then lastly, want to briefly touch on the bit of Inside Out 2 drama that I haven't really seen like a lot of reports about, but it popped up on my timeline and it got me interested because apparently a bunch of ex-Pixar employees that got laid off before Inside Out 2 got released were not able to like qualify to get the bonus for working on the film, and they described like basically this as like the biggest crunch that they've had in Pixar history. Like a lot of animators had to work 7 days a week. Bottlenecks with leadership, mismanagement, and story issues led to a rush in a few months of production. Some do give credit to Pixar for paying overtime, offering time off, and strong health support during the crunch. I think it's also paired with the layoffs that this leaves a bit of a bad taste in our mouths easily, because it's something that keeps happening everywhere. We can't say until a couple of years from now if we truly are currently in a recession or heading into a recession or whatever the fuck is going on right now, but it certainly isn't good for a lot of working people, especially in the creative industry. Yeah, just wanted to note that. I don't know if you have anything to comment on. But yeah, wishing all the best to all of the animators.
Sucks. Crunch sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't force out work on your employees.
It's not worth it.
No, like, I know things have due dates, but due dates can be pushed back. Don't ruin the lives of others for profits. But you know what? This is capitalism, so fuck you, Disney. I love you. I love your movies. I love your. I loved Inside Out too. Look, at the end of the day, they crunch, but they made a great movie. But you know what? This is not towards anyone in particular, but anyone who put pressure on those developers, like fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. If you know
There's
you
developers
did it,
and
you know
creatives. That could be people who actually develop the technology. Like they actually animate them. That could be people who develop.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
Then, lastly, I do have a bit of gaming news that I quickly wanted to bring up here as well. Nintendo and the company, the Pokemon company, the company I was about to say, have filed a lawsuit against the developer of Palworld. The lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld infringes multiple patent rights because they basically made Pokemon with guns and just did it. I think is it a Chinese developer, I think, right? And they were like, we just don't give a shit, and they're getting sued now. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of this, but Nintendo likes to send cease and desists quite quickly. They do it even with their older games that, for example, like Melee, that's trying to keep like an ongoing competitive scene alive, and there's a bunch of like limitations that they are facing starting late last year or this year, I think, is they are just messing with it. I feel like here they do have a lot of ground to actually sue because it's a pretty blatant ripoff in a lot of ways. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that story develops. Then we got a couple of quick news, Lachlan. Kelly Reichard's The Mastermind is set to star Josh O'Connor. Production begins in October. The film tackles an audacious art heist set against the backdrop of the Vietnam War.
Mr. Wonderful has been cast alongside Timothy Chalamet, Tyler the Creator, and Gwyneth Paltrow in Josh Safdie's ping pong player Marty Reisman's biopic, coming soon from A24. The fuck? Why did you make me say the fuck?
Because it's Mr. Wonderful. Like, what the fuck? Do you know who Mr. Wonderful is? It's like the Shark Tank guy. By the way, I learned this yesterday that like his wife apparently killed a whole family with a boat. But hey, moving on. The Passion of Christ 2, there's a sequel, will begin filming in early 2025. Jim Caviezel is set to return as Jesus. He's coming back. It's going to take him 3 days, though.
Jennifer Lopez and Brett Goldstein will star in a new rom-com, Office Romance, for Netflix.
Then 28 years later, was filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max with some attachments, and it will be the biggest film ever shot on film. I on this phone, I didn't know that they were doing this, and was like, why? You had the janky look of the first one, why the second one? And I also linked, here, showing you what these attachments are. It basically looks like, if you put a huge lens on it, I don't know how much of it is actually still the iPhone. I guess they're still working with the inner mechanics of it. Feels a bit like a PR stunt, and not really like, why? Just a big why. Why are you doing this?
Okay, I know this is quick news, but really quickly, I'm in two minds about this because I wholeheartedly believe that you can shoot a feature film on an iPhone, right? If you do not have the ability to go out and get the cameras, right? Yeah. And you have an iPhone or you have a latest phone, you can get really, especially, the iPhone shoots ProRes, which is incredible.
Yeah.
You can do that. But when you have a budget and you can actually go and get cameras, I hate that because there are actual limitations to these things, but whatever. It's great that I can't wait for the new iPhone to launch and they'd be like, the 28 years later was shot on iPhone.
Maybe when the lead thing does this, then fireworks will pop up or whatever the fucking things are for the iPhone camera shit. Yeah, exactly.
Had to do it. Had to hit him with it. I haven't turned it off because it's so funny. John Cena will star as the lead in the live-action Matchbox movie. Sam Hargrave for The Extraction is set to direct.
Baz Luhrmann is set to direct a Joan of Arc movie for Warner Bros. Titled Jeanne d'Arc, so it's like misspelled for some reason. I don't know what it is. Described as the ultimate teenage girl coming-of-age story set in the 100 Years' War.
A live-action's The Sims movie is officially moving forward for a theatrical release. Margot Robbie will produce with Kate Herron directing. Quote, I am sure a pool without a ladder is somewhere in there, says EA Entertainment Laura Miele.
I understand that reference. They also said that there's no plans of making a Sims 5 because I guess they can endlessly create add-ons and make money from that indefinitely. Great stuff. Charlie Hunnam will star as notorious serial killer Ed Gein for Ryan Murphy's Monster Season 3. Season 2 just premiered earlier this week.
Speaking of Season 2, The Last of Us Season 2 will officially release in the first half of 2025. It is expected to release in the Emmy window, which is anytime before late May.
James Cameron is set to direct Last Train from Hiroshima as soon as Avatar Productions allow him to. The film follows the man who survived the atomic blast in Hiroshima, got on a train to Nagasaki, and then survived a nuclear explosion in that city. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't read that before. That's crazy.
Adria Arjona is set to star and executively produce Adam Wingard's Onslaught for A24. Described as a gonzo action horror thriller that follows a mother who falls back on a particular set of skills when an unknown threat escapes a military base. That sounds
A24.
fucking sick.
And she can do it as well. A24 has another bit of news here. They acquired the rights to release Friendship starring Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. I think it's also directed by Tim Robinson. Very excited for this. The film follows a man who lives a normal life, but when a weatherman moves into the neighborhood, he becomes obsessed to be his friend. And apparently this is also played at TIFF. Zach Shevich from the Intercup podcast said this is the most he's laughed in a theater for a long time. So yeah, very much looking forward to this.
Large theater chains plan to invest over $2.2 billion to upgrade over 21,000 movie screens. Sound, dining, projections, and seating experiences will be upgraded. Some theaters will add pickleball, zip lines, and bowling alleys as entertainment options. AMC Entertainment Incorporated, Regal Theaters, Cinema Mark USA Incorporated, Cineplex, Marcus Theatre Corps, B&B Theaters, Harkins Theaters, and Santoncas?
Santa Claus. I don't know.
Sorry.
I
Harkins
haven't heard
Theaters
half
and
of
Santa
these.
Claus Entertainment. NATO projects that theaters will... NATO? Sorry.
Yeah,
hang on.
they pitched this to NATO.
NATO as in like the United Nations NATO? Okay.
Yeah.
NATO projects that theaters will have sorry, that's so funny. NATO projects that theaters will use the funds for laser projection technology, immersive sound systems, more comfortable seating, state-of-the-art air conditioning, lighting, signage, and carpeting.
I don't know if there's like another. Wait, maybe actually let's have.
Did you just dump a whole bunch of information in there for me to read?
So I expected it for me to be that one that we end on, and I added one in the above. So it kind of got messed up there, but they pitched this to NATO, and look, it's great for the stock. Maybe hey, they're investing back into the theater business, but as you can see, like a lot of the stuff is just like updating things. I mean, I can't leak the numbers here. But for the cinema that I work at, like we changed our audio system and our projectors last year, and it did cost us 6 figures. That's what I can say, and that was just like for two smaller theaters. So this is a really costly endeavor. So I don't know. Like obviously, 2.2 billion is a lot of money, but for 21K movie screens, that's crazy. Lots of them.
I truly believe that a theater experience is what you should be going in for. And I am always happy to pay more for a Dolby Atmos soundscape and bigger screen if I can. I'm not someone who likes the whole 4DX cinema experience, moving chairs and stuff like that. That just does not entertain me at all. However, I truly think that a cinema going experience just from a standard, like someone who, because I go to the movies at least maybe like, I don't know, like 10 times a month, sometimes more, depending on how many movies I want to see. Especially like with this next week coming up, you know, I went to see The Substance, and we've also just had Transformers and the Wild Robot release here. next week we have Megalopolis releasing. We have Never Let Go releasing. Like there's a lot of movies coming out, and
Yeah.
I used to go to the movies when I was younger, meet up with friends, and we would beforehand go to the arcade. We would play games. We would make a thing of it. Play some arcade games. Wait for the movie session to start. Popcorn, drink, snacks, whatever. Go to movie, watch the movie, and then we would hang out. Just because, like, there are always arcade games happening, like in the cinemas here in Australia, but they're never that fun. And I feel like you could make the experience better if you could have maybe like there's a cinema complex here in Perth that is like often near like a nice little restaurant place. If you had a good restaurant in the cinema and then people would just go from the restaurant and go watch a movie, dude, people would do that if you have good food.
Yeah.
Like if you
I've
have
done that
genuinely
before.
good food.
Not in the theater, but I've done like dinner and then you go see a film. Yeah, often.
And I feel like upgrading the tech, yes, some theaters I've gone to definitely feel old, and a lot of the theaters that there's a theater chain that actually shut down here in Western Australia, Grand Cinemas, and they got bought out by Hoyts. And one of the things I noticed is Hoyts invested in a lot of makeover for some of these cinemas, and some of these cinemas have definitely become a lot nicer in that time. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, one of the ones that I go to regularly, they had all their carpet ripped up and were getting new carpet laid down. Pretty much every single one of the theaters have new seats in them. Some have reclining seats. Especially in some of the smaller cinemas, they still have reclining seats. There's one particular cinema, like cinema, not like chain, but like in that one location that has the old seats that I saw the substance in. I can definitely feel like they were the old seats, and you could feel that they were the old seats, but you know, there was no one in the cinema except me and one random dude who was sitting 3 rows from the front. So he definitely was jerking his turkin during that movie, and he didn't want anyone to fucking see it. That's why he was all the way down there. But yeah, I can definitely see investing money to get people to come to the experience would make a lot of sense. Would make a ton of sense.
It's just that it's pickleball, and pickleball's so fucking cringe. But I can understand why
what's
people wanna play
pickleball? Is pickleball?
Pickleball is basically tennis for the unathletic and old. I've never watched a lot of it. I just know, Kevin plays tennis, right? He's a tennis instructor.
Pickleball is a random one. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but it's so popular in the States that I think there's a lot of pickleball courts that are like often like completely booked out. So I think that's one of the reasons why they want to have pickleball courts, because it's so popular.
Well, I wouldn't go and play pickleball and then see a movie. Personally.
Play pickleball, go play challenges. See challenges. Wait, the other way around.
Like,
go see pickleball.
Yeah,
play
that's
challenges.
a random one. Bowling, I can see like a casual thing.
That's already that's already. I don't know if that is already a thing in a
zipline.
Like,
that's a weird one.
Yeah, a zipline into the theater seat. For the next Jumanji film, maybe. I don't know.
I'm unsure. Investing in your chains is a good thing to give it a better experience. I don't think random shit like that makes sense, but
I think a lot of it will just be like carpeting, that's often what gets, especially in the bigger theater chains. We never had that issue in our small art house because we don't have like huge tubs of like soda or like heaps of popcorn that just gets flings around. Like the carpet gets greasy and disgusting pretty quickly, and I think that's like one of the biggest things that you can do to like basically have that carpeting. And then the other thing is, I think, seating, because a lot of these I don't think have like terrible laser projection or sound system. Like I know one of the biggest theaters in Zurich, for example, where a lot of press screenings happen, and I rarely go to, like, this is not a flex, but I rarely go to public screenings, so I always kind of don't get to choose and go into the same theater. They have dead pixels in their projectors for like 2 years now, and I've brought it up to them, and they're like, well, we can replace it. It will cost us like a couple thousand, or like more than $1,000. It's going to be really expensive. So they're just leaving it, and whenever there's like a dark scene, you can see a red dot there, and I'm like, I can see it. Maybe y'all fuckers need like some don't have 20/20 vision, but my god, man, I can see that, and it's distracting.
Yeah, I won't lie. The classic, like, when I get older, I want to open a pub. Like, I would always love to open a pub. Don't get me wrong. I will open a pub.
Yeah.
I have always, especially in the last few years, I really would love my own cinema. Like,
I talked about this when I was 7 or 8 after seeing Finding
Man.
Nemo at an outside theater. I was like, since then I've talked about like I would love to like own a theater and run it. And I mean I'm not too far off working at a theater in a higher position. So that feels nice. But like being a part of that, especially because I think for us here, not to talk shit on my job, but it's very limited in what we show, because we are so nichely art house. But getting to run a theater that maybe gets also the bigger titles as well, that to me like sounds super, like that's the biggest fun that I could have.
If
that's
I
so
had
fun.
like, let's say an 8 cinemas in my complex, right? Well, let's not even go that big. Let's go 6
is good.
right?
Yeah, 6
right?
is perfect.
And it's my curation. I would like to get people into the cinema, so I'm going to have some big movies, but I also want to have some small movies, right? So I put this to you, Ewan. You have 6 cinemas right now, and you can pick you can pick movies that have come out in maybe the last like 2 months. What's 6 movies? And you can double up, by the way. You can have 2 screenings at the same time if you want to. But what 6 movies would you play right now in your own cinema? Like right now that have and if you want, you can end of September. You can include to the end of September.
A bit more than a year ago, I got exactly asked this question when I applied. I'm going to leak it here. Applied for the position at a job that the Zurich Film Festival took over, the frame. And the person that they picked for programmer actually is a great guy. We share a last name, but no, we're not connected in any sort of way. He's great. He worked with the festival as well before. And he asked me this as well. Is like, what would I pick and what would be on the horizon? I think what they do actually, they also have 6 cinemas. So like, it's like exactly that question again. What you try to do and what they do is maybe get some of the early pre-screenings, like to get that advanced screenings, as many as we can of like guests in there. For me, it would locally be different because you try to get maybe something in that is like a German-Swiss film where you can also get the people in the theater. I would definitely screen Megalopolis just for curiosity's sake. You know, that's got to be in there. If we can, then with the very limited release that Apple, well, I guess in Switzerland they didn't give it a release, I would definitely screen Wolves as well. The Wild Robot, you know, it plays for the young and the old. Then you gotta have The Substance in there, and Transformers 1. It basically fills itself out. And if you can, again, it becomes different because the States have way more movies, but I would try to get a screening of A Different Man in there, and basically do a bunch of like a late night showings of The Substance, because I feel like that's where it's got to be experiences. I also messaged the Swiss distributor of The Substance, which, by the way, in contrast to the one that picks up Lionsgate that I said is not good, the one that has The Substance is a great distributor. And I was asking if they have those little vials of like, you know, those shots that you take from The Substance. It would be sick to hand those out as like shots, like to have custom stuff that gives the movie a bit of identity. You see that sometimes on social media with the Alien Romulus stuff. Like when you go all out to make it an experience for people to come, I think that's where you can really shine. I gave you a long-winded and not very direct answer to like what I would actually be playing, but I hope you're satisfied with my my answer. We're still in quick news, by the way.
Yeah, we still are in quick news.
An hour into the recording. We'll keep it brief with the trailers that we're talking about now, because I don't know how much we actually want to like discuss them, because I would love to experience the films without really having a big understanding of every twist and turn that the story takes for these. But we had a first trailer for Blitz. I'm going to see this in a couple of weeks' time in Zurich, and I'm very much looking forward to reporting back on what I feel about this latest Steve McQueen film that's out November 1st in theaters as well, and then on Apple TV Plus on November 22nd. To me, it looked like really intriguing. I love a good war film. I'm quite keen. Lachlan, anything else that stood out to you?
No, I'm keen. Saoirse Ronan, super keen.
Yeah. And we did invest the time to watch Occupied City for 4.5 hours. That's how you know that we got to see Steve McQueen in Cannes last year. So, we are all in on this director. I believe in his vision. Equally, that goes the same for Bong Joon-ho, who had his was it supposed to release like in April or May or something, and then it got pushed back
I thought it was
all the
meant
way
to
back.
release earlier this year. Yeah,
It's crazy. It got pushed back all the way to January 31st in 2025. Mickey 17, we got the first trailer. Like I told you, if you don't want to, really don't watch this trailer if you don't want to be spoiled. Did you end up watching it?
I did.
What do you think? The tone is something, right?
I'm keen. I can definitely see him cooking, and I am super keen. This was my second most anticipated movie of the year this year. Until it got pushed out of 2024 to 2025. I am extremely keen for this movie. I think that it's going to really put Bong Joon-ho back on people's radar again, especially because this is more along the lines of that English-based Bong Joon-ho film, so like Western, yeah, like a Snowpiercer essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that people saw Snowpiercer and they were like, "Hey man, that's pretty good," and then they saw Parasite, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good." Now they need something that's, you know, a little bit more mainstream with who you have in it, and to have Robert Pattinson, who I think is one of the best working actors today with what roles he particularly goes for. Super engaged with that. But also, I'm super keen for another Poor Thing Mark Ruffalo performance, which I am totally getting the vibe of here. I'm totally seeing him kill it in that supporting role as whatever character he's playing.
There's a lot of people in this that are quite exciting. Isn't Toni Collette also in it? It's Naomi Aki, Stephen Ewan. I'm super keen. This is amazing. And also actors like Stephen Ewan, who's worked with before, right, on Okja. So I think this is going to be super exciting. A sci-fi film from the director, and it's based on a novel called Mickey 7. And when asked about, like, you know, why it's called Mickey 17, he simply said, like, oh yeah, he wanted to kill him 10 more times. That's why it's called Mickey 7. And I loved it. And I think I actually, like, this is one of the rare exceptions. I always kind of want to do it when there's a book adaptation to catch up on a novel. I rarely get to. I think with Mickey 7, I'm actually trying to do that because I'm super intrigued to see, like, what he changes here. Then Lionsgate, Cillian Murphy in Small Things Like These, out November 8th. It's a book adaptation as well, and it's produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and they've been in the news for, you know, other things involving the divorces and you know, touching each other's wives and stupid shit like that. I'm pleased. Yeah, no, I guess you totally missed that, and I don't pity like that. That's a great thing for you. But what do you think of Small Things Like These? Which, by the way, Kevin will report back in about like 3 weeks' time from Ghent about this one. I'm quite keen. I think this looks quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I think the trailer did a great job with not giving you too much, right? But enough. And I'm keen for another serious Cillian Murphy role. And
let's go.
Depending on how popular this film gets, I could definitely see him maybe getting a nomination for something, for that, like, sort of stern, quiet father in the background, because it could definitely be an emotional role. Especially, in my opinion, more emotional than Oppenheimer. I don't think he ever gets to that emotional heights that they want him to get in a role, but I feel like he definitely could with this.
Very much looking forward to it as well. And then out on Prime, we got Brothers out October 17th. To me, this gave like Serrano vibes in the way that it also stars Peter Dinklage, but they also just kind of drop it. That one they did at the end of the year, and people were talking like, "Oh, it's an Oscar run." This is not. This is a comedy. It also stars Josh Brolin, Glenn Close, Marissa Tomei, and Taylor Page. And at the end there, we also get Maurice from Planet of the Apes for some reason. I don't know what's happening there. Looks crazy. Did it intrigue you? Are you interested in checking this out or no?
I totally felt that this was directed by one of the Coen brothers, and then at the end, it's like it's written by Ethan Coen. The story is like Ethan Coen, so it's not the writer, but like story by Ethan Coen. And my brain saw Ethan, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sick!" And then I click on it, and I was like, "Oh wait, no, that's not him. That's someone else." And I kind of felt that that's the vibe we were going for. And then I had a look to see at the director, and I was like, "Okay, Palm Springs. I could totally see this actually being quite fun and quite good." Then I look at the writer. The writer is the same guy who's done a couple of really small things with like stuff that has been quite good. Yeah. And he's also written the Toxic Avenger thing that just is never going to see the light of day, but hopefully one day will. I don't want to write this one off with being like cringe, because it seems to be a really interesting role for Brolin more than anyone else. And I'm happy to see Brendan Fraser, in absolutely anything he's in, especially recently. But to me, I'm in. I think I'm in for this one. I think I'm in.
He's in. Brother. Yes, brother. Yeah, we don't have to wait for it like at all. Basically, it's out in less than a month.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow may never come. No, but yeah, I'm not too interested. Like comedy is always like very hit or miss, obviously, and they're not trying to universally appeal, but at least interesting roles, like you said, for someone like Josh Brolin to take. But yeah, that's it for the news. Then don't forget to leave us a rating on Spotify if you haven't already. It takes like a second, and we really appreciate those ratings. Puts us out on a radar for like the festivals we want to cover, and just asking for screeners, like the interview I recently did for Disney with Joe Locke and Agatha All Along. All of that stuff helps to get us out there. And if you're on YouTube, consider subscribing and leaving a like, sharing, and checking out our other content. There's heaps of it coming after we basically took like a 2.5 week break for Venice. We won't be taking breaks while Kev and I are attending Ghent and Zurich. So yeah, there will be content for the rest of the year, I think, without a break. But let's get to what we've been watching, Lachlan. And I see what you've been watching is Ha 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 Ha. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I want to take this moment in what we've been watching, because I didn't watch anything this week. I just every time I loaded up Letterboxd to look at my watch list, I got overwhelmed, and I feel like I've got that sort of like watch list backlogged anxiety of being like, I've got so much that I want to watch. I just don't know what to watch, and it kind of meant that I was like browsing for a while, and funnily enough, like Mubi gave me a really good deal, so I resubscribed to Mubi, and I was going through Mubi, and I was like, fuck, there's just another thing that I'm just gonna scroll through for hours.
More watch lists to add to.
Yeah, so I feel like I've got to find a new way of trying to watch stuff. I don't know if I should be like watching one new thing, one old thing, because there's so many classic stuff that I want to catch up and watch. But there's so many new things coming out. Like I actually did really want to see either The Wild Robot or Transformers this week, but I was just like, I don't know which one I want to watch, and like time ran out on me, and honestly, if I was gonna watch The Substance, The Wild Robot, and Transformers 1 all for this recording, I would have had to see them all either today or yesterday night, because conflicting times and whatnot. So I don't know, I just feel like it was a good little moment to be like, I if you have that sort of backlog and you're trying to demolish it, I kind of feel you, man. Like shit's hard.
Yeah, I mean, and also piles up so quickly, because the more you engage with it or the more you browse, you find good stuff, because there's so much out there that just isn't curated. And once you got it all in one place, with darn you, Letterboxd, doing that for us, it's such a great service that like I get overwhelmed by it as well. Obviously, then I look at the 2 shows and 10 movies I watched this week. I guess I still kind of get over that hump because I can make more time for it. But especially under like limited time, it's really tough to feel like you are on top of everything that's coming out, because it's just so much. So
because like I saw that Mubi is doing a like a restoration of a movie called The Fall. Never heard of it before, right?
Yeah.
By Tarsem Singh, and it's like a cult classic. Stars Lee Pace, which immediately I was like, I'm in. I love Lee Pace. It's from 2006, and they're doing a 4K release of that on the 27th of September, which obviously is the Friday, and that's a day that we do recordings. And obviously next week, I've got Megalopolis coming out. I think Lee's coming out as well. Possibly I'll be able to see that. So I've got to squeeze that in, and then I want to watch the last of the Alien rewatches that I've been wanting to do. So like, just so much stuff I'm trying to watch. It just gets terrifying, Ewan. How do you breathe when you watch 17 different things last week?
I had a moment last night where I was like, I was twiddling my thumbs, messaging, texting Kevin in bed, which no illicit messages sent, but bed talk, pillow talk, but about movies essentially. Not that we sleep in the same bed. He's in Belgium and I'm in Switzerland, but still, it feels like that. But we basically were like, I was looking at whatever I had to do. And for me, it's less that I have trouble of choosing what to prioritize, but we have a lot of work that needs to be done in the editing department that doesn't really, we don't do our stuff live just to create a better product. And that creates so much work and it's so time intensive that it takes away from the time that I could just like binge through stuff and I would want to review more, but I always fall behind on that. So even though I am working on a higher caliber of like watching stuff, I feel the same of being behind because I like have everything that's out there in front of me. I just have stuff that like it's right there. I could like stop working on editing and watch something, and I often do, but I could do it even more. We still are taking open applications for very skilled editors that don't want any pay and get nothing back from it. But hey, we like you. But as long as that's not going to magically appear here with a genie that's going to grant me wishes, I'm going to be stuck behind, getting cramps in my hands from editing. And yeah, so in a way, in a roundabout way, I can kind of relate to what you're saying. But I did watch a bunch of stuff that I'll briefly go over, but much like our 6.5 hour Venice recap, I kind of want to give a lot of these like better titles also a bit of like limelight in our show really briefly. So don't hate me if I talk about it a bit too long and this recording runs super long, I guess. But The Penguin had its first episode premiere earlier today on the day that we're recording, and then I think on Sundays it will get the next couple of episodes released. In the subsequent weeks, I got to see the first 5 episodes, and I'm quite intrigued by the first episode. It's going to have 8 in total, and I think it really strikes the tone of the Batman in The Penguin, just on a smaller TV scale. And Colin Farrell is amazing. Kristen Milotti also works a lot. They have like side characters that they introduce that I'm not 100% sold on, and I think I overall appreciate the story. I don't love it. I don't think it's one of the best shows of the year, but they also said that it's going to lead directly into the Batman 2, and I can really see that being set up starting in the latter half of the show now. And just for how it's shot and how it's acted, I think it's worth checking out. I don't think it's going to be a knockout hit though. Then I watched the first 4 episodes of 8 of Agatha All Along in preparation for my interview with Joe Locke, which you can find on the channel now. And I think this series meanders around for the first couple of episodes quite a bit, where it feels like a bit of an escape room. It feels like they have obviously witch, and they expanded with a bunch of other witches in the town. So they got like the Wizard of Oz comparison of the yellow brick road, and I think in the trailer you even see like a completely green witch as well. Like there's a lot of references in there, similar to like how WandaVision worked, which I didn't really like about WandaVision. I know a lot of people appreciated that. I think Agatha doesn't really get anywhere in the first 4 episodes, and that's really concerning to me because like ultimately I don't know, apart from the mystery that is set up in the first episode, I don't know if there's anything else that builds towards that other than just like a quick plot reveal at the end, and that is quite underwhelming. Then Transformers 1 out in theaters now. I got to see this a couple months back at a trade show. Similar, like the same goes for The Wild Robot. I think these 2 animated films I liked. I didn't love either of them. I think The Wild Robot, DreamWorks, it looks stunning. It looks amazing. I think the story should have ended at a way earlier point, and then it just kind of keeps going and is like keeps repeating the same lesson of just, hey, let's just live all together and be nice to each other. And it felt quite pandering to me in a way that even for a kids film, it got a bit too much for me. Again, it looks amazing though. I keep saying The Iron Giant. I don't know if that's great, good or bad thing for PR, but it might be one of those films that can sneak into like the 4th or 5th spot for the Oscars. Some people are projecting it to win. I don't think it's that good though. I'm a bit surprised people are that high on it. And then Transformers 1 is like an introduction to that universe, hence the 1, and it basically sets up the friendship of Optimus Prime and Megatron before they are called that into that rivalry. And someone who hasn't seen any of the, like, never played with the toys, never seen the animated shows or whatever, only the Michael Bay produced films, I don't really have a close connection to like the home planet and all of that. But I think for what it does in like setting up this universe, I think it does a pretty solid job for the first one. It does have another issue of casting famous people in voice cast roles where they really stand out as not the character but the actor that they are. Especially Chris Hemsworth, I think, doesn't really work for me here as Optimus Prime. But ultimately, like, a good bit of entertainment, and I quite liked it. It gets emotional by the end. I wasn't expecting that from Transformers, so quite good. Also, the White Robot got me emotional. Again, way too early, and then it just kept going. I was like, oh, I take back the almost tears that I shed. Wolves is out in limited release now. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, where they are the cleaner uppers after some murders have been happening, and they are both called onto the same job, and hence a bunch of banter, charismatic banter that is directed with sly comments towards each other. I think it's a good time. Not a great time. Some people were hating on it in the way that it's presented and written and whatever. I just thought it was good fun. Like, what do you expect from Doug Liman in a way is exactly what you'll get. Although, it's not like it's a Don Liman movie, it's from John Watts, but it has that same sort of feel. And if you like those types of films that he's created, then I feel like you'll dig Wolves. There's a bunch to be appreciated about it. Then Rebel Ridge, a hit that a lot of people ended up talking about while we were still in Venice because it premiered in the last couple of days. Lachlan, this is one of the ones that I would also recommend you. It's just a really, really solid thriller over on Netflix from Jeremy Saulnier, who also did Green Room and Blue Ruin, two films that I still have to catch up on. Just haven't found the time, so I do relate to you, Lachlan. But Rebel Ridge is this simple story of a guy who wants to post bail for his cousin, his cousin. And he's stuck in this town where the police is really corrupt and misusing their power, and he's trying to stand up against that. And it's a really intense thriller, and then it also has some action elements that it brings in later on. Really a solid, if you watch, as it's always like solid, and I was about to say top 20 film, is like, okay, that's not that high if I watch 30 films, but no, in comparison, for me, like for 200-300 films watched this year, I feel like it's solidly in the top 25, top 30, top 20. It's a really good film. I can't say the same for Incoming. That's a coming-of-age film set in the first week of high school, where there's a bunch of ragtag group of friends that unfortunately all cannot act for shit, and they really, sorry, I'm hating on the kids again. Once more, he's back here. Yeah, it just like lacks any sort of coherency. The writing is pretty bad, and then they leave the kids out to dry with the stuff that they make them do and make them say. Skincare, another film that's out on VOD from Austin Peters, starring Elizabeth Banks, Louis Pullman as well, where it's about like an anesthetician who is about to launch her own makeup line, and then her world gets turned upside down when she starts to her tires are slashed, she's slandered online, her stuff is leaked, all of that stuff. And I think this movie doesn't really come together because it doesn't really have a coherent story to tell with its lead character. It's just a bit all over the place and gets lost a bit in the like whodunit side of it. That is fairly obvious, and then it like, okay, what's there left? It's just like, it feels like a bit of a nothing burger. And then the remake that John Woo did of his own film, The Killer, was also quite underwhelming to me. It's surprising. You'll see next week when you watch Megalopolis, Lachlan, but Natalie Emmanuel, she's been in Game of Thrones. I think I've seen her in one like British show as well, Misfits, but she had a supporting role there. I'm sorry, I think she cannot act. I think she's pretty bad. I'm sorry to be a hater again, but she's pretty bad in Megalopolis too. The writing's bad there as well, and here it's not great either, but she really can't sell some of these moments that Omar Sy, the French actor, really, really can. Like, the action moments are quite sick, but I couldn't give this more than a 4 out of 10, unfortunately. I think the other one's like an 8 out of 10, like the original The Killer is great. Then Afraid, again, AI shit. It's just really shit. I don't know what to tell you. It's just a really shit movie that is so surface level AI, where there's also there's a name drop of ChatGPT-5 in the movie. It's like, you are so desperate to be like on the ball right now that you lack to tell anything of substance 5 months from now. It's so stupid. And then lastly, just before the recording, I caught up with his 3 daughters that just came out on Netflix and stars Natasha Lyonne, Elizabeth Olsen, and Carrie Coon, who has 3 estranged sisters crammed into a New York City apartment to watch over their ailing father during his final days. It's based on a theater play, and it very much reads like that. I think the opening minutes are really rough in the way that they like monologue back at each other, and it never really fully loses that. It has some moments it builds it towards the end, so it's not like all bad. But to me, I'm not as high as some others seem to be, but maybe you connect with it more. It didn't fully work for me, that like translation from stage to screen. But my monologue is done. That can be put onto stage as well if you want to. Each week I talk about these films and what we've been watching, while the attentive audience of the one and only Lachlan Teely is having to listen to me. But let's move on to the very much anticipated The Substance. We're not going to skim, although we are like very far into this recording. Looking forward to cutting in deep, with The Substance, the new film from Qualley Farja, which I struggle to say that name correctly. I think it's Farja. Lachlan, what's The Substance about?
A fading celebrity decides to use a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. Remember, you are one is the running bit that I couldn't get out of my head months after seeing it. I've seen it 4 months ago, and I haven't had a chance to rewatch it, so hopefully my recollection is not like... I'm going to rely on you, Lachlan, to call out specific things. We'll do a spoiler review for the film because we urge you to go see it for yourself. If you want a non-spoiler review, there's one out on my personal channel, Ewan Gruff. But the movie comes in at a runtime of 2 hours and 21 minutes. Currently sits at a 4 on Letterboxd, an 8 on IMDb, and an 81 on Metacritic. It's great to see that like unison here. Like I said, it premiered in Cannes and won Best Screenplay over there, which I attribute to them being cowards, that they couldn't really give an award, a higher award, because like it feels... because they have to assign one award to each of them, right? If a movie has a really good performance, then you might give it to a performance, even though it might also be the best film. Like Sandra Hüller last year, it won the Palme d'Or, but then Sandra Hüller didn't win for her performance, although that was deserving as well. It happens here as well with the screenplay. I'm happy it got something though, and hopefully it can ride that success onto a very successful box office run as well. The excitement seems to be there. Getting picked up by a movie for worldwide distribution. What is notable about this, it's basically like a two-hander, maybe a couple of scenes with Dennis Quaid as Harvey, but it's mainly Demi Moore as Elizabeth Sparkle and Margaret Qualley as a younger self Sue. And that's the whole film. All of it caught up in her bodies and their body image specifically. The performances are a huge standout. I think the score is banging. The soundtrack also has some fun tracks to itself. It has a pace to itself. It has some great production design. I think it's hard to find anything notable to say that I really don't like about it, but I have no clue. Lachlan locked this film, and to his, I gotta give it to you. He didn't leave a rating, because sometimes I see his ratings, even though I don't want to. Sometimes it just pops up on the page. I have no clue if you hated this film or if you loved it, so I gotta hear from you. What did you think?
There was a period of time when this film started where I wasn't loving it. I kept away from as much of the marketing as I possibly could, going into it blind as much as I could, so that I could kind of experience the same way that you would have at Cannes. Unfortunately, I've had almost every single screening that I went to, the trailer played for it. And it was a little bit disappointing to only be in the cinema with one other person, because it felt like it was...
Oh, yeah. Dude,
a missed opportunity.
There were so many gasps and like nervous laughter, and so much of it that added a lot to it, I gotta say. Yeah.
And I feel like that is one of the very key things when it comes to experiencing a movie, is experiencing it with other people. I like a great example is I went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine a second time, and there are clearly people who have only seen that film the first time. It wasn't a packed cinema, so they weren't enjoying it as much as people who were enjoying it the first time around in that packed cinema, massive fans, etc., etc. So while I feel like I didn't get the same experience I possibly could have, I have to say it took me a while to really get what this film was trying to do. And for me, I kind of got it when we finally get to Elizabeth separating and Sue having sort of her own life and them kind of having their two worlds. And then I kind of realized, I get it. I finally see where the film was going. I kind of finally caught on to it and went, yep, I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ride this train. I'm gonna see where it ends up, because I felt that a lot of the production design, a lot of the set design, a lot of the dialogue was quite simple, basic, absurdist is what it actually is. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's, if this was to happen in the real world, this is not what would happen. And I kind of didn't realize that was the line we're on. Is yes, it's set in a fairly realistic world. However, this is that sort of absurdist, wild, and it wasn't until afterwards I realized, oh, yup, it's a French director. Cool. I probably should have seen this one fucking coming a mile away if I just Googled who Coraline Fargate was before seeing this movie. But as soon as they separated and Sue kind of goes out and does her thing, I was totally on board. And everywhere it went from there, I was super involved with. We get fantastic body horror, which, yes, we have gore, but the substance does something completely different with its body horror, which really made me uncomfortable. We get absurdist humor, such as Harvey, which is Dennis Quaid's character. He is ridiculous, over the top, untamed, and if anyone was to eat prawns like he does, I would fucking slap a bitch. Holy shit, was I uncomfortable in that scene.
It's crazy, yeah.
Only other thing before we get into it, Ewan, because I think this is probably the easiest way to describe it. I think this film ends, and it is my favorite ending to a movie in recent memory.
I think like this got like a standing ovation clapping thing in the press screening. And it's that rarely happens.
I could totally say that.
And it's like, oh god. Unfortunately, you do have to remind me a bit, because I know it ends on the Hollywood Star. I don't remember what exactly is like,
so,
because it opens with it and it ends with it.
You know, at the end of Babylon,
thing,
right? At the end of Babylon, it's just like a jazz outro, and it's just like fucking everything, right? It's just throwing shit at you, and you kind of trying to catch it, but you're not. Where the substance, obviously for me, the ending sort of starts when Sue, again, spoilers, sorry everybody.
Sue full on spoiler review for this,
kills Elizabeth, which is, by the way, as soon as we get the reveal of Elizabeth coming out in that hunched form, from that moment, right? From the moment that Sue is like, nah, bitch, I'm not letting you back out, and is just taking all of the, whatever it is, fluid from her, from that moment onwards, I was just engaged. I was just on the ball with this, because it's immediately you get Demi Moore in that fucking crazy hunched outfit, which by the way, the makeup was just fucking so much fun.
And also her performance. I didn't know that Demi Moore had
spectacular.
Had that in it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We'll get to the performances shortly. Because I had a lot of comments on it. But then from that moment all the way to Sue killing Elizabeth, and then Sue's like rampage of she has to kind of make the perfect self of her again. So she goes back, she takes the substance herself, which is a single use only, and then we get that monster. And as soon as that monster makes their way back, which in that moment I was super uncomfortable, super disgusted by it all. I was like, this is fucked up. But when the monster goes back to the performance and the fucking 2001 A Space Odyssey soundtrack like theme
Also,
plays as she walks down that fucking aisle, and then, you know, reveal monster, kill it, and then just get something and then just get sliced, and then there's just blood flowing over everyone in that audience, and then killing it, and then she runs, she explodes, and then it's just Demi Moore's Elizabeth's face getting crawling back onto her star, which is obviously how it ends. But I'm mainly talking about that sort of big crescendo moment, which I feel like a lot of films have tried to achieve that big crescendo ending recently, but this is one of the very first that kind of were like, that nailed it for me, because I was out of my seat. Like, I was physically leaning forward, and I was just like, what is going, because there was no one else in the cinema with me, so except the guy at the front who was clearly jerking off to all of the fucking ass that was in the movie, but like, I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat, just being like, what is going on? And that's just from a technical standpoint, because like I loved everything from the cinematography to the sound design to how different Sue and Elizabeth's worlds were filmed, especially with Sue being way more like cinematic, and there's lens flares,
There's
and
a bit
it's
more,
colorful
lens flare,
and
bloom.
punchy. It has that bloom, and then you get Elizabeth, who is a little bit more handheld, especially when she's running with her like coat on her handheld. It's dull, it's boring, and it's like that clear change of like how it's shot is just a great, fantastic way of presenting it to us from a visual standpoint. I agree, like performance-wise, Demi Moore is crazy in this. She is spectacular. I think Margaret Qualley should also be on there as well. And my only gripe, because you say there's things that you can't get around to, right? My only gripe with this is, I've already spoken about him once today, but Dennis Quaid's Harvey, if he was in the film for just a little bit more, would have been on par with Mark Ruffalo's like wild behavior in Poor Things. I could totally see him getting like a crazy supporting actor nomination if he was in it just a tad bit more. He's just not in it enough, and I totally get why, because regardless of it doesn't want to take over, right? It doesn't want to take over the performances of Demi and Margaret, but to forget all of the technical stuff, what the film is trying to say and achieve from a female beauty standards to how females are treated within the entertainment industry to things as simple as like Botox and as simple as like facelifts, young fit like women and facelifts and like everything that this film is trying to achieve and say. I totally saw it at first being, it's super surface level and super boring, but nah, man, this movie takes it to a point where I was just like super fucking engaged. So I love this movie. It's great.
I've been seeing from a lot of other people who might not enjoy it as much, and like from what I can see early on, you either like love it or you really, really hate it. And you don't agree with how it's presented, and also maybe you don't like all of the body horror. But it's always like it's such a difficult thing to talk, like make a film like this that is told by a woman about women and how they are viewed, without viewing at them, because the cultural thing is always what we do. It's a movie, we watch it, so there's always going to be contradictions within it, and trying to find the purpose in that while having a really intriguing character that ultimately it's not about like this is a breakdown of the male gaze. No, it's also about like the self-worth of someone who is living under this male gaze, which is literally half of the world, literally everywhere. And I think for that it does such a great job at like not getting too caught up in just doing the messaging, but also having such an intriguing story at the core, which only emphasized the message that it has to say. And I was blown away by it. So I went into Gun this year, right? I didn't fall asleep a single time, but I did go in knowing my doctor told me that I have like this the stomach thing that gets inflamed when I'm stressed, and it presses on my ribs, and it's eerily close to my heart. So it's like sometimes like, oh fuck, am I having a heart attack or something? Like, what is going on? And during the whole runtime of this movie, it was like the worst before I went in. So the whole time I was like, is this movie so exciting? I'm close to like I'm having a heart attack, or am I just like sick? And I still don't know, because like you said, the edge of your seat towards the end there. The whole film with like the bumping soundtrack, there's like one so far on Spotify I could find only one song that is attributed to by Rafferty, and I assume it's one that gets replayed a bunch. It's called The Substance. It's the same one, like that music that's played in the trailer. It just like it works so well with this the uneasiness, the feeling that you get from how it's cut, how it's paced, how it's shot, like especially the stuff with Dennis Quaid and the men in the film where you just like almost fish-eyed lenses like pressed up against them.
Yeah.
You can't escape their faces and them looking onto you and what that does to her. And then also they talked about this at the press conference back in Gunn as well, that like ultimately you cannot escape the shortcomings that you had. Like this seems to be a solution for her to create this younger version of herself, and now she gets something back that she's losing, but she's not winning in any of this. She's just get exploited again in the same way, maybe even worse, and losing herself even more in it. And that's like such a tragic tale at the end that is so manifested in a monster that is created by the end. I love it. It's so good. And I think it's also a great follow-up because Revenge was already such a banging movie. Her first debut feature. Second film, I cannot wait for what else she's got in store. Like she can work so well within genre, especially like horror adjacent. This is fully in the horror genre. And Cronenberg, look out. Main Cronenberg or like all of the sons and daughters that he has, because she's not coming to play, man. This body horror is up there with The Fly and everything. Like it's amazing. Like shout out to the Oscar win that this should definitely get. There's nothing else that's coming out this year that should get makeup and hairstyling.
For sure.
Or for the prosthetics work. This was incredible. And yeah, if you can stomach it, I feel like if it is very much a movie that is not for a lot of people. And I can understand that. That's fine. If you're at all slightly interested in it, I think this is like going to be like one of your favorite films of the year. Much like it is for me.
I wish there was like a practical effects category. That would be
Like
if I could have like a practical effects, because like the only thing I could think that this kind of made me feel like was The Thing, like the original The Thing, with how practical those effects felt, and it's the same thing here.
Well, there's always an overlap with how practical effects usually inform digital, and there's always a mix. So I feel like you couldn't really. It would be hard to just say, but I mean, if it's on the shooting day, you have the prosthetics, then that's definitely something different that you could honor still. Probably going to be in the final.
There's the difference between there's a difference between visual effects and what I like to refer to as like quiet VFX, where like Oppenheimer, there's no visual effects. No, dude, there's visual effects. They're just not in your face the entire time, like a movie like Marvel would be, right? Like that's always in your face. You can tell. There's
3 different ways. There's this SFX, VFX, and CGI. They're all different things.
Yes.
And I don't want to break it down right now, but one like SFX is like special effects that used to be just like explosives and whatever on set. Which were maybe what you would attribute this to, where it does like really shine. Dude, the production, like how colorful it is, and like you said, like the differences between like the views between the 2 different characters, and that bathroom as well. It's like it feels something about it feels like super outer-worldly, but you'd buy into it. For me, I guess it took you a bit longer. I bought into it immediately. That like fading star type of mentality of a star that like never got to fully shine as bright as she wanted to.
It was the whole apartment, dude. That was wild. Like a massive. Like how long was that hallway? What happens when you really have to pee? You have to run down a fucking 200-meter hallway to get to your toilet.
It's a stadium length hallway.
And obviously she has one of the best views ever, and there's a fucking massive billboard now in her face. I would be pissed off if there was a massive billboard, but if I'm so up myself, I guess it doesn't matter. But I absolutely adored the cinematography. I think mostly I feel like people don't really talk about wide angle shots unless it's
Poor Things, like
in like Poor Things or in a Yorgos Lanthimos film. I forgot his name for a second there, so I was trying to get to. Immediately with it, you get a weird close up with Harvey in the toilet, like he's just all up in the camera, and you're just like, this makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I feel like it does a fantastic job, because looking into it, that is how close some executive men will get to women in the real world. And I realize that is something that they could be going for with this style shot. And it's just super, and then you get that with the, especially at the end, with how close up all of those executives were with Harvey, with Sue. You get that when he's up close with her in the office, and there's always 3 men around her as well. Like from any angle with Sue in the office, there is a guy in the background with it. So like the film does so many things from a technical standpoint that make you like it. From like how they look differently and things like that. But when you want to sit there and break down what the film is trying to go for as well, man, this film fucking rocks. Like, dude, this film. Because I often talk about how, like, I like the message of a film, and sometimes films don't have a message, and sometimes films don't need a message. Sometimes it's just there for entertainment value, and that is okay. But when a film can be entertaining and also have something to say, dude, that's hats off. That's what we do this shit for.
It's the package. I don't have a hat on. I have a beanie, so I can't do a hats off. But I'll give my props to Benjamin Krakoon, who's the cinematographer. He also did Promising Young Woman, that also had like a similar focus. I don't think as successfully as The Substance does in its overall like core themes and messages. But yeah, I could ramble on about this movie for a long time, but I'm just going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 and leave it at that. It's in my top 10. It's in my top 5, I think, of the year so far. Great movie.
For me, it's really up there.
Is it better than Longlegs? Is it decroning your favorite horror film of the year?
So this is the interesting thing I had to chat about. Is I'm not a horror guy. But horror has been killing it.
Oh yeah, it's been a great year for horror.
With that, like
even Alien Romulus is probably still my favorite. But,
Ewan, I need you to talk me off the cliff.
Huh?
Here's what I'll get to it.
Okay.
I want to give this film 5 stars.
Wow. Okay. On a first watch as well.
On a
Aren't
first
you going
watch.
to rewatch? No. You have to talk. No. 4.5. Rewatch it with Tanika, and then we can talk about it again.
You know, my thing is I don't want to give it 5 stars because I feel like a perfect movie should be able to be rewatched. But I immediately know this movie is going to be rewatchable.
Yeah.
But the other
I've been waiting for it for months.
I don't want to rewatch it because how uncomfortable I felt, but I'm going to rewatch it. So it's a movie where if I didn't have to go re-see it, right? For like, because I know Tanika would like to see it. But we might wait till it comes out on streaming on Mubi. But I already know this movie is going to be good on the rewatch. I already know that there's definitely things I missed out at the start that I'm going to love, that the messaging is probably something I'm going to look into a bit more because I definitely got more of the technical stuff on this first watch. I really want to, oh man, it's a 5-star at heart, like it's like 5 stars at heart, but I should only give it a 4.5, shouldn't I?
Hey, you're a free man. You can do whatever you want, and I'll be in support of it. I mean, I'm close to, it's great. I rewatched Anora, and my 4.5 went up to a 5. That was my favorite of Gunn. This was my second favorite. It could very much also be in the 5-star range. So I just need another rewatch. I'm in full support of you going 5 stars on the first watch.
I'm gonna do 4.5. I'm gonna be a good bean, but like, I came out of that screening being like, that movie deserves a 5 straight off the bat.
It's great.
I already know on a rewatch I'm going to love it. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 because, as I said, I only give movies a 5-star on the second watch because a movie needs to be rewatchable. And I already know it is. It's actually a 5-star.
In secret. We won't tell you until
you
take...
This shit annoys me. Why do I make these rules that make no sense?
No, your movie rating needs to take the substance and be a better version of itself. So it's a 5 out of 5 star, but over time it decreases and becomes a 3.5. No, that's a bit of meta commentary on film criticism there. Anyways, double feature time. If you were to pair this up, is there anything that like pairs up nicely for you with the substance? Other than just rewatching it straight after going in to give it a 5-star?
Just rewatch it again. Dude, I don't know. This is a hard one to sort of double feature.
I left you one that's like the obvious pick, so I went with something else. But I don't know if you're going with it. Like a Cronenberg classic.
Yeah,
Fly.
Cronenberg. Yeah, that's a.
But maybe that I tried to have a look at like another movie that is very much about like a gaze or a look at certain characters. Ended up with Eliza Hittman's Beach Rats. Maybe very different, but I feel like it thematically, I feel like those movies play quite nicely together. But you could go with something like a straight up horror pick.
When I was watching this, I kept thinking of Tusk.
I haven't seen Tusk. That's the A24
Tusk. which
Movie?
is it's a
No, it's
terrible
not. That's-
fucking movie. No, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Terrible movie. Probably a better pick all in all for themes for genre. I think I have to pick like Under the Skin. I think
Under
that'll
the
probably be a
Skin.
really good
That's a
double
great
feature.
pick. Yeah, I agree. I thought you were maybe going to go with The Thing because you brought it up with the production design, but Under the Skin is
I was
actually, like,
going
a
to
great
literally
pick.
go I was literally going to go Tusk,
I prefer
but I
Under the
think
Skin.
Under the Skin is probably a good
It's better.
one.
It's better. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know. That's a good one.
But yeah, let us know what you thought of the film. Very curious to hear. Especially, I've been trying to get some other women I know, which isn't that many. So I'm trying to but like.
So your mum? Is it just your mum you're trying to get to watch?
I wouldn't. No, I think I wouldn't show this to my mom. I
Wouldn't
don't know if
take
she'd
her?
like it.
No?
I don't know if she'd like it. But I've been hearing some
I
really
know my mum would
interesting.
hate this movie.
Exactly, it's not a mum film.
No, it's not a mum movie. Don't
we
take
actually,
it.
yeah.
Okay, if you skip through all of the spoilers, and came to the end here to hear our thoughts, the only thing you have to take away is do not take your mother to this movie.
It would be so funny to like preface this. Did like old and new, take your mother to this movie on Mother's Day. It's just this most fucked up film to take her to. Yeah. I mean, I feel like she definitely aims a bit more, or like it resonates a bit more with a younger audience who's also open to that type of pacing. I feel like a lot of older people, as you get older, you start to like a bit more of the slower paced films, at least like generally. There's a lot of new films out in cinemas and on VOD this week. Again, on September 27th, out in the States, we got Lee, Megalopolis, My Old Ass, The Wild Robot, Bagman, Azrael, and then in limited release, we got Amber Alert and Universal Fury. That's a German film that played in Venice last year, and it was kind of one of the weaker films out of competition there, but it's still worth seeing for its black and white cinematography. Then on VOD, between September 23rd and the 29th, we got Rest Ball over on Netflix, The Front Room, the A24 film that basically, I didn't see like much of it be like, maybe I missed it because I was in Venice, but no one talked about this one, but it's out on streaming or on VOD already. Later this week. Inside Out 2 is coming to Disney Plus. Killer Heat is out on Prime Video. Apartment 7A over on Paramount Plus. That is a Rosemary's Baby prequel. I still haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, so might catch up on that this week. Will and Harper, the heartfelt documentary that had, I think, was one of the runner-ups or the winner in TIFF as well for the audience award there, is coming out on Netflix. And then on streaming this week is the action thriller comedy Wolves with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Out in Australia, you're also getting My Old Ass. My Old Ass is not making the way over there, but the film My Old Ass, as well as Megalopolis and the belated release of Never Let Go. And in Switzerland, we are also getting Megalopolis. Yes, I'm mentioning it 3 times, so you can definitely go see it to give it a 5-star rating and boost Francis Ford Coppola's ego. But I guess if you go according to him, then he'll just rate his own movie a 5-star with a heart on Letterboxd and too much of critique of the world. And I'm like, okay, of course, it's his movie. Why would he not rate it 5 stars? He made it, literally. He's been working on it for like 30 years. Give the man some slack, even if the movie's horrible. Cut the man some slack, even if the movie's horrible. And then lastly, over in Switzerland, shout out to Emmanuel, a French movie with a lot of nudity that's like a remake of something. Is apparently premiering here, but I didn't see much promotion for it. But that's that. Next week, we don't know yet specifically what we'll cover, other than like, Lachlan will definitely catch Megalopolis. Pretty sure that will have a hefty discussion there. Maybe The Wild Robot, maybe some of the other films in the meantime. We'll have to wait and see on how Lachlan's watch list develops and what we can
Let's just
dive
say
into
this.
deeper. But
if it's Megalopolis, right? Okay.
yeah.
If I like Megalopolis, it'll be the conversation piece. But
So
if the
funny.
Wild Robot is the main topic next week, it's because I hated Megalopolis. I'm just like, it's not even worth the time.
I think there's
I
still
really
a bunch to
wanna
talk
like
about.
it.
There's still a bunch to talk about.
I really want to
even if
like
hate
it because I know you fucking hate it, and I want to.
Fucking hate it.
I don't want to love it, but I might force myself to like it just out of spite, out of how
Yeah.
funny it would be. But yeah,
Would
I
be very
want to
funny.
like it.
But yeah, come back next week. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on new videos and that Megalopolis podcast that's incoming next week. Would have been a fun 200 episode, but I guess you got the 6.5 hour cut of our Venice recap instead, which, by the way, go check that out. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.